Welcome to Law Days and Lattes, the podcast where we blend the world of law and business with a warm cup of information and common sense. I'm your host, Sydney Whelan, attorney, real estate investor, and business owner. Each week, we'll be your go-to source for legal insights, business advice, and so much more. Whether you're a seasoned professional, an ambitious entrepreneur, or simply someone seeking guidance, we'll have you covered. From navigating the legal landscape to empowering you with valuable business strategies, we'll explore the legal side of life and enjoy a virtual latte along the way. So, grab your favorite latte, get comfortable, and let's dive into Law Days and Lattes. Welcome to Law Days and Lattes. This podcast is sponsored by the Whelan Law Firm of Moberly, Missouri, your go-to source for legal issues encountered by your family and your business. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. Those are some of the most iconic words in American history, words that mark the beginning of a document that has shaped our country for over 2 centuries, the U.S. Constitution. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Sydney Whelan, and today, in episode 29, we're diving into Constitution Day. If you've ever wondered why September 17th is marked as Constitution Day, or why this document remains vital to the United States, then this episode is for you. We'll be covering the history behind the Constitution, why it's so important, and how this document continues to influence modern America. We'll also look at how Constitution Day is celebrated, and why you should care about this incredible piece of history. So, let's jump right in. What is Constitution Day? First things first. Why September 17th? Well, September 17th marks the day in 1787 when the Constitutional Convention concluded, and the U.S. Constitution was signed by 39 delegates in Philadelphia. It replaced the Articles of Confederation, which had left the young United States struggling with weak central authority and numerous political challenges. The new Constitution was intended to create a stronger, more unified government, one that would preserve liberty while also providing a framework for effective governance. The significance of this document cannot be overstated. It shaped the structure of our government, and more importantly, it's still in effect today. In 2004, Congress passed a law officially designating September 17th as Constitution Day, requiring that educational institutions receiving federal funding offer programs on the Constitution's history and meaning. So, every year on this date, schools and universities are supposed to highlight the importance of the Constitution to both students and the public. Now, let's talk about why the Constitution is so important. It's not just a historical relic, it's the backbone of the American legal and political system. For starters, the Constitution lays out the framework of the federal government. It establishes the 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. This division ensures a separation of powers where no single branch can dominate, thanks to a system of checks and balances. So, for example, Congress passes laws, but the president can veto them, and the courts can declare laws unconstitutional. It's a delicate balance that has kept our government functioning over 2 centuries. And of course, we can't talk about the Constitution without mentioning the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which were ratified in 1791. These amendments protect fundamental freedoms like freedom of speech, religion, and the press, as well as the right to a fair trial and protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. But what makes the Constitution truly special is that it's a living document. it can be amended to reflect societal changes and needs. Over the years, we've added 27 amendments, from abolishing slavery with the 13th Amendment to granting women the right to vote with the 19th. The Constitution evolves as our country evolves, making it not just a document of the past, but also one of the present and future. Here are the 27 amendments to the Constitution. 1. The First Amendment, enacted in 1791, along with the next 9, protects freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. The Second Amendment is the right to keep and bear arms. The Third Amendment, no quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent. Fourth Amendment, protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. Fifth Amendment, rights in criminal cases, including protection against self-incrimination and double jeopardy, the right to due process. Sixth Amendment, right to a speedy public trial by an impartial jury, and rights to confront witnesses and have legal counsel in criminal cases. Seventh Amendment, right to a jury trial in civil cases. Eighth Amendment, protection against excessive bail, fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. Ninth Amendment, protection of rights not specifically enumerated in the Constitution. 10th Amendment, powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states or the people. Amendment 11, limits lawsuits against states. Amendment 12, revises the procedure for electing the president and vice president. Amendment 13, abolishes slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. Amendment 14, grants citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, guarantees equal protection under the law. Amendment 15 prohibits the denial of the right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Amendment 16 authorizes the federal government to collect an income tax. The 17th Amendment establishes the direct election of U.S. senators by popular vote. Amendment 18 prohibits the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages. You might remember Prohibition. Amendment 19 grants women the right to vote in 1920. The 20th Amendment changes the dates for the beginning of presidential and congressional terms, known as the Lame Duck Amendment. Amendment 21, enacted in 1933, repeals Prohibition, which was the 18th Amendment. Amendment 22 limits the president to 2 terms in office. The 23rd Amendment grants residents of Washington, D.C. the right to vote in presidential elections. Amendment 24 prohibits poll taxes in federal elections. Amendment 25 clarifies presidential succession, disability, and procedures for filling a vice presidential vacancy. Amendment 26 lowers the voting age to 18. And the final amendment, Amendment 27, delays laws affecting congressional salaries from taking effect until after the next election of representatives. There you have it. These amendments have shaped and expanded the framework of rights and governance in the United States. You might be thinking, okay, the Constitution is important, but how does it affect me today? Well, the Constitution is the foundation of all our laws, and it's constantly being interpreted and reinterpreted by the Supreme Court. Decisions like Brown v. Board of Education in 1954, which declared racial segregation in schools unconstitutional, or Obergefell v. Hodges in 2015, which legalized same-sex marriages nationwide, are just 2 examples of how the Constitution plays a role in modern life. Other examples? Roe v. Wade, declaring a constitutional right of a woman to seek an abortion prior to fetal viability, which was overturned almost 50 years later in 2022 in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. Now, without the precedent of Roe versus Wade, an individual's ability to access abortion depends upon the state where that person lives. Today, there are ongoing debates about constitutional issues, everything from freedom of speech in the digital age to the Second Amendment's right to bear arms, such as the case United States versus Rahami. The United States ruled 8-1 that a federal law that makes it a crime for people subject to domestic violence restraining orders to own guns does not violate the Second Amendment's right to keep and bear arms. There are ongoing constitutional issues in other areas, such as privacy and government surveillance. These debates show that the Constitution isn't a stagnant piece of paper. It's a dynamic document that affects every aspect of our lives. And that's why Constitution Day is so important. It's a reminder that we, as citizens, need to be aware of our rights and the laws that govern us. It's a call for civic engagement and education about the document that literally defines what it means to be an American. So, how can you celebrate Constitution Day? Well, if you're in school, your institution is likely offering some form of programming or event. But even if you're not in school, there are still plenty of ways to get involved. Many cities and communities hold public readings of the Constitution. It might sound a bit dry, but hearing those words aloud is a powerful experience. Some places host debates or panels where experts discuss current constitutional issues. You could also visit your local library or historical society. Many offer special exhibits or programs on Constitution Day. And here's a challenge for everyone listening. This Constitution Day, why not take a few minutes to read the Constitution yourself? You can find it online in its entirety, and it's surprisingly easy to follow. Understanding the document that governs your rights and your nation is one of the best ways to participate in democracy. To recap, Constitution Day on September 17th commemorates the signing of a document that laid the foundation for the United States as we know it. It's not just a day for history buffs. It's a day for everyone because the Constitution impacts us all, whether we realize it or not. So this Constitution Day, I encourage you to learn a bit more about the rights and freedoms we enjoy and how they've been shaped by the Constitution. We're all a part of this ongoing experiment in democracy, and understanding its foundation helps us to be better citizens. Thanks for tuning in today. In our next episode, we'll dive deeper into Supreme Court decisions and how those decisions affect our understanding of the Constitution and how those decisions have evolved over time. Until then, take care and happy Constitution Day. All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for listening to Law Days and Lattes. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us everywhere you listen to podcasts. See you next time. And before you go, I again want to mention our new Law Days and Lattes podcast pages on Facebook and Instagram. Our goal is to create a space where we can learn from each other and grow together. So we want to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ask questions. We will put all of the links in our show notes. Until next time, my friends, grab your favorite cup of coffee or latte, hold your loved ones tight, and have a great week.